And then the stone of prayer. What I love about Urban Homeworks is that they are unabashedly people of faith as they live out their beliefs in community. And I know with some of the urban neighbors, I know you folks are people of prayer. And you pray about the situation, and you pray about what's happening in the community. And you pray about the fact that when Chad talked about redeeming buildings and so on, you know, I live in North Minneapolis. And let me tell you my greatest fear right now. With the number of foreclosed homes that we have, we battle the giant of slumlordery. That's my new word, slumlordery. And those are people who, and right now, we are very nervous because the slumlords have cash. And these are people who buy up properties when it's an opportunistic time. They buy up properties in areas that have been devastated, where people have run from, and they do it and they don't reinvest in those properties. And they enter into a symbiotic relationship with tenants. I won't tell that you have a record and that you're selling drugs and that you're gangbanging right across the street from Sondra, and then you don't tell that I don't take care of my properties. And they have cash. Young homeowners that Urban Homeworks put into many of the homes on my block, they do not have cash in that way. They cannot compete with the slumlords. And I tell you, because of the foreclosures, because of the slumlords, we are under social siege in North Minneapolis like you would not believe. Just a month ago, because of a property right across the street from me that it was vacant, a guy just started squatting. You know, squatting is happening because of the foreclosing, and he set up a prostitution ring. I have 3 girls, and I live on a wonderful block. But you know what happens when you see a lot of boarded up houses? And when you see an area where it feels like people are moving away from instead of moving into? That whole tipping point phenomena, the broken window theory, people think, yeah, this is a place I can do that. It took us a little while to get the ring out, to contact the landlord, to get the police involved. We even found out that the landlord couldn't evict the tenant who didn't even have a lease because they said that he was already squatting. So he would have to go through so, you know, it's like Urban Homeworks, pick up that stone, buy up some more of the homes, please help us out. And then the stone of prayer, and then the stone of passion, moving into the problem. David ran into Goliath. He ran and said, who is this uncircumcised, 9-foot Philistine that would defy the armies of the living God? And I believe that Urban Homeworks keeps saying, who is it that would say that this neighbor in North Minneapolis is not a human being? Who would say that because this person is poor, they don't deserve a dignified housing? They say, how dare that go on? And they run into the situation where I keep seeing people run away from it. In fact, one day I sat with a young white woman who had just moved here, and she was with Merrill Lynch, and we were at a women's group thing, and we got warm and fuzzy into the meeting, and she said to me, Sondra, you know, I don't know much about the cities, but the one thing I was told is that no matter what, don't go to North Minneapolis. That's what she was told. And so if we have this Goliath of a force, and I know that, I've heard it, my own parents worried about me living here. And so if we have such a force of people saying, don't go, do you think this might be the place where God would want David to set up camp and run into this situation? And that's what I see them doing all the time. And I'm gonna shut down in just a moment. And then there's the stone of persistence. You know, Dan talked about it. And he said that no matter what, he did not give up. He's not giving up on people, no matter how much he was cursed out. And I'm sure some of the things that were said had to do with his race, you know, and so on, or his class. Any areas of difference, we bring those up when we get mad. You know, it's a relationship that we are hurt, and it is a relationship that we are healed. And what I know is that Urban Homeworks knows that. And that's why Dan could pick up the stone of persistence and stand. He didn't retreat at the first accusation of being racist. Dan, I'm sure you were called racist, first of all, okay? I'm sure you were. That had to be one. He didn't retreat from it, but stood there and moved into relationship. I think that is what God is looking for in terms of the Davids and so on. And then also one of the last stones is seeing differently. You know, when Dan and Chad talked about, and Dan in particular talked about, he counted the days and wondered if she had changed and wondered if she had really been helped, Jill, and so on and so forth, and realized that it really wasn't about Jill. It was about him. And was he not simply trying to perpetuate hope, but was he being hope? The embodiment of it. And so Urban Homeworks helps, and I don't know about you, but when he said that, I kind of did like this because it was a little jolt for me, because my mind was going down the path of, oh, isn't that so wonderful how he just helped her and so on. And he said, no, it's about me. And inevitably, what we're doing here today is really about us, even more than the work, because the work is the relationship. Chad, Ryan, Dan, everybody, they're helping us to refocus. And for me, they're sending us wonderful neighbors like Stacy. You know, we have to have people who are moving into the situation. We have to have people who are willing to call the police when something goes awry. We have to have neighbors who are there when my car breaks down or somebody needs a favor or a cup of sugar. That's what builds community. And so I'm asking you today, I'm asking you, will you help us? Will you allow Urban Homeworks to really slay Goliath by picking up those stones and really reclaiming not just the communities and the people, but our entire city? I think this is America's unfinished work. I really do. And they're doing it well. But they need help in terms of picking up those stones. They need help, and they're trying to help us to see. Because when Urban Homework sees where other people see a dilapidated, broken down, boarded up house, they see something that Stacy would love to live in. A mansion. I mean, I see some of these homes, the before and after, and my heart just swells. When somebody else sees a gangbanger or a prostitute or a thug, they see God's child who may have been beaten down by life, but who at the end of the day is deeply, deeply human and deserves all the dignity that we get every day. And so I'm asking that you would help us. I'm asking that you would help them. And I'm asking that if you, like I know Urban Homeworks does, if you really believe that God is big enough. You know, here's the deal. David didn't focus on the giant. If he had focused on the giant, he would have said, you know, I'm 5'7", you know, the giant is 9 feet. I've never fought in a war. He's slayed many, many nations. I can't do this thing. David's focus was on God. How dare this Philistine defy the armies of the living God? Urban Homeworks, I believe that their focus is not on a broken down house, a broken down community, a broken down person. I believe their focus is on dignity and on love and on relationships and on moving in, and not giving up. And so help us to help them. Let's really see ourselves in this thing together. And let's all slay the giants. Because I got to tell you, North Minneapolis, and this is my context, it is a wonderful place. I have wonderful neighbors. I wouldn't live anywhere else. You give me $1 million and tell me I have a home in Woodbury, I ain't going. I love it here. I love it here, and I am so encouraged. I am so encouraged by organizations like Urban Homeworks, because I tell you, they are making such a difference. And Goliath has gotten word, and he's running. And you know, they say, Max said that David actually picked up 5 stones, but he only used 1. But he had 4 more just in case. And I believe that Urban Homeworks does that, and they're buying and they're coming up with new projects, Project Reclaim, and so on and so forth, but they can't do it alone. By doing that, you will help them to self-subsidize all family rental units for families making $10 an hour. They will be able to self-subsidize. That's pretty magnificent. Pretty magnificent.